Chcemy ustawy Stop 447. Pomóż nam zebrać podpisy. Wejdź na www.stop447.info. Pobierz kartę podpisową, zbierz podpisy pod ustawą Stop 447 wśród rodziny i znajomych i wyślij do nas. Teraz jest czas działania.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to talk about censorship on YouTube. Please watch this video. And today I'm hosting Paul Watson. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good to be here, thank you.
You are a YouTuber, radio host, and follow the Wikipedia. Far-right conspiracy theorist. Okay, tell me more about it.
Well, the Wikipedia page needs editing for one. But yeah, I host a radio show with Alex Jones for InfoWars. My website is summit.news. And I've got a YouTube channel, and that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What kind of YouTube channel?
It's changed slightly over the past year or so. I talk more about culture than politics, but obviously I'm classed as right-wing conservative, so that's the kind of content that I do. Recently, it's been more cultural stuff. Obviously, I talk about the migrant crisis, what's going on with Brexit and the anti-globalist movement across Europe.
So all the topics concern the UK?
No, mostly I cover American news because InfoWars is an American company, so... But, you know, everything is cross-cultural. I talk about a lot of memes. I also talk about again, how the migrant crisis affects Europe, how it's affected Sweden, Germany. So it's a very broad spectrum of topics that I cover. You know, I do dabble in some conspiracies from time to time, but that's a very small percentage of the channel now. So,
okay, when it has been started?
I started the channel in, I think it was 2011. So it's been about 8 years now. Obviously started off very low-fi, very low-tech, just with an iPhone filming myself. But, you know, I've got a little studio like you've got here, so, yeah, it's picking up.
Mm-hmm. And why you decided to do this?
Well, I was just a writer before. I've been working with Alex since, like, 2002. And Alex wanted me to get on air and become a personality. And obviously, after YouTube was created, there was a massive opportunity to do that. And we're talking about censorship. I'm surprised that I'm still on there. You know, I've got 1.7 million subscribers. I've been banned by Facebook and Instagram. So there is a genuine concern, as I'm sure that you have and anyone else does politically, that, you know, YouTube could be next with the massive purge of ideas that they don't like.
Okay, so if you are talking about censorship, how it looks like in the Britain?
In terms of Britain, it's not really a country issue. We have problems with hate speech laws. We have problems with Islamophobic laws and things like that. The current thing in the UK is the transgender issue, whereby you can post online that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and you will literally get a visit from the police. There was a case recently in the UK where the police showed up at a mother's house where she had a baby in the kitchen. They arrested the mother and imprisoned her for 7 hours for the crime of saying a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So that's how bad it's got in the UK, to the point where you can't point out biological facts without the threat of being visited by the police. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But what exactly the hate speech is?
Hate speech is, for example, in this case, there was a case before that, which was a guy who posted a limerick, like a poem, on Twitter, which was called hateful against transgender people, calling them freaks or calling them bizarre or strange. So if you insult what they call a protected group of people, and it's the same for Muslims, it's the same for LGBT gay people, they are classed as protected people in the UK. So if you say something which is an insult or a slur against that protected group, that is hate speech, and that is a criminal offence in the United Kingdom. So we have no real free speech left.
Why the global concern like Google, like YouTube are still trying to block all conservative topics?
Well, because it's a massive election meddling factor. For example, there were massive studies done by Robert Epstein in the US where the order of Google search results on the day of an election, based on whether they were 1, 2, 3 for political candidates, could swing, for example, in India, the biggest democracy in the world, 10 million votes on election day, purely based on how Google ranks the search results when you type in the name of a candidate or a policy or a political party. So the reason they're changing their algorithms, gaming their algorithms, shadow banning, censoring is pure power, pure political power, pure election meddling to change the outcome of national elections. That's the ultimate reason why they do it.
Is there any way to prevent this by our side?
Prevent the censorship?
Yeah.
You can complain about it. I mean, there was a big case recently with Stephen Crowder whereby he insulted again someone from the LGBT community, and there was a lobbying campaign to shut down his channel. Thankfully, he was that popular, that big, with 4 million subscribers, that he was able to rally his support around putting pressure on YouTube and Google. And we have to remember that there are people within YouTube and Google. It's not a monolithic creation, who are on our side and who do value free speech. So you can lobby and pressure these people. But at the end of the day, we need some kind of protection, some kind of law which says that this is the new public commons. This is like the telephone system. Basically, your telephone company can't cancel your contract simply because they don't like what you're saying on the end of the phone. And I think that should be the same for the internet. It should be a public utility. It should be regulated and protected. So we need new regulations, new laws to ensure that that happens, because it is the last true bastion of free speech. It is the new, public commons, the new Hyde Park corner, as it were, if you're talking about in the UK, where it is the last true bastion of free speech. And the concerning thing about it is, you've got this social credit score system in China, whereby if you criticize the government, if you say something that they deem to be offensive online, you're then banned from buying plane tickets and train tickets, banned from travel, banned from dating websites, banned from banks. And all that's happening in China, in communist China, we see this being rolled into the UK. And this is why we need true freedom of speech. It's not just your right to have access to the platform and to speak your truth. It's the knock-on effect that it has on your life. I was banned by PayPal because of the words I said on YouTube. So now I can't use PayPal as a financial tool. Now it's, banks. PayPal is buying up MasterCard corporations and rolling them into one. So if you're deplatformed from a bank for having an opinion, you're deplatformed from having a loan to get a mortgage to buy a house for your opinion. It's not just about what you do online or what you say online. It's about literally crippling your life and making it extremely difficult for you to survive and to actually live in the modern world without all these services which are crucial to anyone who's living in 2019.
Okay, Paul, what do you think about the chance to engage government for, let's say, a war between YouTube, who does censorship, and YouTubers?
Depends what government. I don't think you'd get much change out of that argument in the UK, but from what I read in Poland, there's a big case with Facebook censorship where they're trying to intervene. In America, of course, we had the potential of that with the Trump administration promising to take some kind of action with social media censorship and changing Section 230 of the Communications Act to make these platforms behave as they should, because they're behaving as publishers. They're editing the narrative. They're banning people, so they're not behaving as platforms as it's their legal requirement to do so. They're behaving as publishers, as a media organization would. So there were some moves in America with that, and it did look promising for a time. But since then, the Trump administration hasn't really done anything. That's why they're losing a lot of credibility within the base of support for the Trump administration, because they didn't take any hard action. What I was told is that it will be on the 2020 campaign platform for the re-election of Donald Trump to take action with social media censorship. So it depends what country. I mean, you've got some positive signs in Poland with what's happening with the Facebook ban. And in America, if Trump gets re-elected. In terms of the UK, there hasn't been any movement on governments helping to, support free speech of YouTubers and so forth. So it's very dependent on electing the right government and then that government taking those steps afterwards.
Okay, Paul, I know that you were yesterday on Warsaw, on Marsz of Independence. Yeah. Why are you joined to this march?
Well, I saw the video from it last year. I think Jack Posobiec went last year. He's another big Twitter personality. Stefan Molyneux, another big YouTuber. I saw them attend last year, and it just looked like a really organic, authentic, patriotic movement. Obviously, there are concerns about how it's portrayed. It's portrayed by many media outlets in Poland as this far-right extremist, neo-Nazi, in some cases, march. So I wanted to come observe it for myself and see what the truth was between the media perception and what, conservatives or people on the right would say about it. And from what I saw, there were a smattering of actual far-right extremists, neo-Nazis or whatever, but the vast majority of people was just young, patriotic, energetic people, a lot of families there, old people, young people. And it was really fun, really enjoyable, and really uplifting spiritually in terms of seeing a young movement engaged in something, engaged in politics, having love for their country and living with authentic meaning, getting out on the streets as a group, as a tribe, and being able to express that, because it does not exist in the West. It does not exist in the UK. You would never have a march like that where thousands, tens of thousands of people could just go out on the streets and fly the flag. It would be completely denounced. The police would try to block it. I mean, we've got a situation in the UK where, around Warsaw, I see Polish flags everywhere. In the UK, if you want to put a British flag on your own property, the local government will say that's not allowed, and they'll send you threatening letters in the post to remove the British flag from your own property in Britain.
I don't get it. Why?
Because it's seen as offensive to minority communities and these protected groups in the area. So it could cause trouble. It could be a police issue if it offends people and they try to take direct action. So either the government will threaten people to take it down and they'll be forced to take it down, or leftists, liberals, or whoever will just tear it down. So just merely displaying the British flag in Britain, even on your own property in many cases, is so verboten, so forbidden, that it's so refreshing to see a country and a movement which does not give a damn about official oppression or what anybody else thinks, and is proud and patriotic to wave their own flag. And that's really encouraging to see that coming from the UK.
Okay, when you heard that Polish people who joined the Marsz are neo-Nazis, fascists, etc., what do you think?
Well, there's always a small contingent. I wasn't too aware in depth about Polish politics before. I know that there was some violence a few years ago. I think it was 2012, where I think a monument got torn down, like the Rainbow Monument, things like that. There was some clash.
2013.
2013. There were some clashes with police. But then last year, I think the government of Poland kind of endorsed the rally to some extent, or attended, and then they didn't this year. So I went in there just reading the propaganda, but then also knowing friends of mine, people online that had visited last year, and they were really, uplifted by it, that it was just a proud display of patriotism. So, there were small contingents of actual far-right extremists, but you will get that in any group. If a big left-wing organization has a rally, you will get left-wing extremists as well. But from what I saw, the vast majority were just really proud, patriotic people. Signs saying no to communism and no to fascism with the crossed out, so across the board, really good optics for the rest of the world to replicate, or at least in Europe.
Paul Watson was my guest. Thank you, Paul, for the interview. And guys, thank you for watching this video, and please remember about subscribing. Bye.
Dziękuję Państwu za obejrzenie tego programu. Nie byłoby go jednak bez wsparcia widzów. Jeżeli zależy Państwu na niezależnym obiegu informacji w dobie cenzury, proszę o wsparcie. Liczy się każda kwota na rzecz bieżących wydatków i dalszego rozwoju mediów narodowych. Tak jak Marsz Niepodległości, media narodowe współtworzymy wszyscy. Stałe zlecenie w Banku na rzecz Mediów Narodowych to krok do repolonizacji mediów.